Hey, what's up, and welcome back to the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson Gaddis, author of the Smart Couple Quote Book. All right, if you haven't picked up your copy, please do so. relationshipschool.net/smart couple will take you right to the Amazon link, or just search for Smart Couple in Amazon's search bar, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. Boom. And order it up, guys, for the holidays. Okay, if you've got Prime, you can get that in a couple days. And there's an audiobook as well. So if you prefer listening on the commute, then do that. Book sales are going well, and I'm really grateful. We were number 15 here locally at the Boulder bookstore, in the top 25 in their bestsellers. And then we've hit a number of categories in the bestseller list on Amazon. So again, thanks for your support. If for whatever reason you're getting served by this book, please leave us a review. All right. We have just a few reviews, and we'd love a lot more. I would love a lot more. Okay. This quote book there's bits and pieces from this podcast. And in the back, you'll notice I've taken a bunch of my favorite guest interview quotes and put them in the back with their links to their personal pages, as well as the link to the interview. Right? So if you're drawn in by a particular quote in the back, then you can go listen to the entire episode. All right. So I think this is just a really fun, creative book that you can get a shot of wisdom in just a few minutes per day. All right. And that seems to be how a lot of people are using it. Okay. It's so many more books in me to come. Stay tuned for that. All right, this podcast, as you know, is about growth and development. We're about growing, learning about ourselves, because the only way to sustain a beautiful connection long-term is to learn about yourself and the other person and be committed to that. In December here, I've been teaching you a free web class. Hopefully you've been joining us, for all you listeners, and you can still register, all right? The classes will go through early January, and it's called, the link is relationshipschool.net/New Year, right? If you want to join us for a free web series. That is awesome. It's outstanding, and the feedback's been great. So I know this is going to serve you as you go into 2018. We want to get you the best relationship possible, but it's not easy, guys. The concepts to have a great relationship are easy to me, but to implement requires you deal with yourself and your own shit. So if you're up for that kind of journey, relationship to me is the most exciting adventure on the planet right now. As things get more automated, we try to automate, the human brain likes to automate another person, but you can't automate a sexy relationship. It's a daily practice. Like my wife reminded me the other day, in shamatha meditation, for you meditators, in the Buddhist tradition, you come back to the breath, the object of the meditation. Over and over, your mind wanders, you come back. That's like monogamy and your partnership. You wander and you check out and you start getting complacent. You automate your partner, just like your thoughts, and then you come back. All right, to the present moment. Oh yeah, who's this beautiful person in front of me that I live with? Okay. In this episode, I've got another couple. I'm psyched to introduce you to Kiyomi and Joel. They live here in Boulder, Colorado, and they're a young couple, a millennial couple. This is our first ever millennial couple, and I think you're going to notice why their relationship is good, why they have a strong relationship. And I think it has something to do with they don't have a bunch of relationship carnage behind them. And they grew up with a certain kind of family that helped, and they are both really willing to learn and keep the relationship strong. So the first half of the interview here, we talk about their relationship history, how Kiyomi had struggled with something called relationship OCD. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. And if you throw the word relationship in front of it, it just means that you obsess and compulse about your relationship. Am I leaving? Are they leaving? What the hell's going on here? Is this the one? Is this not the one? And it was pretty interesting for me to learn a little bit about it from Kiyomi because I'm not that familiar with this term relationship OCD. I thought it was kind of a silly pun. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, this is like kind of legit. People really obsess. Of course you obsess over losing the one or finding the one or keeping the one or maybe firing the one or not wanting to be with a person. People do obsess a lot about relationships, particularly being left behind or leaving someone. All right. So she'll tell you about that, how they got through it, how she got through it, and how Joel supported her. And then we get into, some basics around how they work through conflict, which is interesting and helpful. And then I said, okay, now that we've gotten to know each other here in your relationship, do you have any questions for me? And we turned it over to them to just ask me a question. And they asked me two important questions. One was about what happens if, you may not have the same long-term vision as a partnership? What if you start to drift in your visions over time about what you want? And this is a great question. And then, so my response was interesting. And I think it's going to provide you a lot of value if you have the same type of curiosity or challenge going on in your relationship. And then the second one was ironically about their upcoming wedding. They're getting married next year, and they wanted to ask about prepping for the wedding, not from like a wedding planning perspective, like I'm not a wedding planner, but like the emotional planning of dealing with family members. And I had what I thought was some good advice there. Okay. So if you happen to be thinking about getting married next year and you're in that conversation, this is going to apply to you. So this is a really sweet couple that's doing well, and I was grateful to get some time with them. I think you're going to dig it and enjoy it. Stay tuned for the action step at the end. It's a very basic one, and it came from Joel speaking about what they do in their relationship. Okay? All right, folks, enjoy. Welcome, guys, and let's start by introducing yourselves. Just first name, age, how long you guys have been married, that kind of thing.
Oh, we're engaged.
We're engaged.
We're planning our wedding soon, hopefully in September. My name is Kiyomi Lafleur. I'm turning 28 in January, and we've been together for 10 years.
Yeah, and my name's Joel. I'm 25, turning 26 soon. So we've been together since I was 15.
And I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious. That's cool. Okay, so tell me a little, and you guys live in Boulder, Colorado?
Yes.
Awesome.
We just actually moved here a couple of years ago from Pennsylvania.
Okay, where in Pennsylvania?
The suburbs of Philadelphia.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so tell us, just so we get an idea of who you are together. So give us just a little bit of the backstory. We met, in high school, whatever, and then transitioned to dating, and this thing started happening, and now we're in a relationship. And just give us a little bit of the arc of your 10 years, what you guys, just a few highlights, highlight reel, what you've been through, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we met at a high school bonfire, and our friend introduced us, and 3 days later, I felt so amazing about our chemistry and sort of the moments that we had in just those 3 days. So I was like, as like a naive 15-year-old, I was just like, hey, Kiyomi, will you go out with me? Will you be my girlfriend? And I guess at this age, that's probably not how you would approach it. But back then, like just being naive, I just kind of went for it. So then we just started dating, very fast.
So she was open to it, obviously.
I was open to it, yeah. I kind of had like this thing where I liked guys with baby faces, and Joel had a baby face.
Oh,
and
nice.
My friend introduced me to him because she was like, he has a baby face. I think you'll like him.
That's why I shaved.
So
Okay.
That's kind of how it started. And then so we were dating in high school, and then after that we
So Kiyomi went to school in North Carolina for college.
So I was 2 years older than him. Yeah.
And I think that was sort of like the big first test in our relationship. Like, can we do this long distance thing? And Kiyomi actually ended up transferring to Temple University back in Philadelphia, like close to our hometown. And then I chased her to college. I told my parents I was going there for the program or whatever, but that was I was just going there because Kiyomi was there.
Yep.
And so we went to college together. At one point we actually separated just for like a very few short months, just because, when you grow up with someone and you're in a relationship with them, you're always being told by other people like, hey, like, are you sure there's no one else out there? Don't you want to see other people? So I think eventually we were finally like bought into the advice that all of our friends, family, people around us were telling us, and we just gave it a shot. Quickly realized like that's not what we wanted. We wanted to be together. So then, we've been together since then, and that's
so
it.
some challenges, I guess. I feel like we've both been through a lot together. I think my first challenge is I've always really struggled a lot with really bad anxiety. So through our whole relationship, it's gotten so much better now, and I don't really struggle with it anymore. But he was really there for me when I had really bad anxiety. So I had something called relationship obsessive compulsive disorder, and I had a lot of kind of OCD tendencies in other ways too. And he was there for me throughout that and really the beginning stage of our relationship. So that was a big challenge that we had. And then my father also passed away, which was another challenge we went through.
Yeah.
And then moving together to Boulder, probably.
And then I guess fast forward to now, like 2 years ago, we moved to Boulder. And I mean, it's been a pretty amazing place for us and our relationship and our growth as a couple.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Yeah, cool. Let me back up to ask some questions here. So relationship OCD, so you said?
Yes.
Tell us what that is for those that don't know. Like what the hell is that?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about it. But it's basically, if you think obsessive compulsive disorder in a relationship. Some people do get diagnosed. Some people aren't really diagnosed. It's not, you don't have to be kind of diagnosed to have it, but it's basically constantly checking your feelings, constantly checking your thoughts, and having compulsions about how you feel and how you are in a relationship to the point where it's extremely debilitating. There's a lot of people who aren't able to properly function. You get a lot of physical symptoms from it. It just completely consumes your life, like someone who would have OCD.
And this happened after Kiyomi's father passed. So it was kind of like a lot was going on at the time.
Yeah, and Kiyomi, had you struggled with, what I'm hearing is there's some social anxiety there, but this is specific to an intimate relationship, or?
This was just, so with our OCD, it's just specific to an intimate relationship. So it's basically, the type of things that normal people or people would typically think about, like, do I love this person? Do I want to spend my life with this person? But it's so heightened to the point where you can't function. Like, you're constantly checking your surroundings, you're checking to see how you're feeling, you're checking to see how your partner's doing, and it becomes so heightened that it becomes so debilitating. So,
yeah, interesting. And for how long did you, it sounds like you're through that mostly, but was this many years, and did you do therapy? Were you reading books? Like, what was your kind of approach?
So I actually, when I was about 18, I got off of anxiety medication, and that's kind of when anxiety started to pop up again. And then I kind of worked through it. I actually had some therapy. My dad actually helped me a lot with it. And then I was fine for a while. And then right after I graduated college, I had another really bad bout of it. Kind of back and forth, but it's been a couple of years and I haven't had it. I've gone through a lot of therapy. I've done my own type of yoga with it, my own type of coaching, and met a lot of really incredible people who really helped me with it.
Cool. And are you on medication now?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So were you just the kind of person that was like, I don't want to be on medication? Is that what?
Basically, yeah. I just didn't want to depend on it for my whole life. And I was having a lot of side effects when I was 18 being on it, and I wanted to just not be dependent on it anymore.
Yeah, okay. And then Joel, while she was going through that, it sounds like you were also a resource for her. Was it at all triggering? Were you like, God, get over it? Like, what's your problem? Or were you just totally supportive the whole time?
No, I wasn't, crapping on Kiyomi. I was helping her out.
I think the thing too is, I just want to say before you start, is that not many people know about it. So in the beginning.
At the beginning, it was like, what's going on? Like, why is she projecting her anxiety onto me? But the more and more I dug into it, then I realized it was just a projection. I was just the one that she was taking it out on. And then I began to see patterns. It's like, Kiyomi has had sort of same feelings about her health at times or about other things. And it just happened to be that the relationship was what she was projecting on at that point in time. I think just realizing that completely made it not personal for me. And at that point, it made it, obviously it wasn't fun. I'm not saying it was like,
it was like
good.
hell. It was like hell for the both of us.
Yeah. But at the same, it was like, we can definitely get through this. There was no doubt in my mind.
You became a team, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Which in some ways is kind of complicated because, I'm having these obsessions and compulsions where I'm saying, hey, I'm having this thought that says, I don't love you and I don't want to be with you anymore. Or I don't know if I feel the same way. And he just had to step back and be like, okay, she's in an anxious state right now. Let's talk about it. So
it would just be like, let's give it a day, let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's take some time to think about it. And then maybe like the panic state would calm down and then it'd be fine. We also had, we were also happy at the same time. It wasn't like, that's what, with mental health, that's why it's hard. It's not like it's one or the other. We were happy, we were fulfilled, and at the same time we were struggling with that.
Okay. And Joel, it sounds like she's done, dad passed away, the relational OCD. There was one more, the move. For you, were there any challenges in the last 10 years that you were personally going through that she helped you with?
I feel like my life has been pretty smooth.
You're a no challenge guy?
He is a no challenge
I don't know why. It's like I can move. I can live in a basement and still be happy.
Uh-huh.
Sure, I'm the one that really needs things in a particular way. I need to be at the place that I like. I need to have a good community. He seems to not really have anything. There's definitely, I think, some stuff, of course, through high school of growing up together and having different bouts of.
Yeah, I think Kiyomi, maybe I could speak to this challenge. This was a while ago, but when we were just starting out, I'd say 15 through 18, 19, I was very, I'm a pretty intense person, very competitive and very outgoing, and just, I don't really hold anything back. And I think that led to a lot of I wasn't in control of my emotions. I wasn't calm. I was always antsy. And I'd say that was a challenge that I went through. And then Kiyomi really helped me to balance that, just because she's kind of the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And Joel, so for you, do you ever done any therapy, coaching, personal growth work?
Not much. I think I've had many mentors, but not in relation to the relationship, not specifically related to me and Kiyomi.
Okay. So let's pretend for a minute that everything you're saying is true and all is well, and there's no real big challenges. What's working? What do you, so people can learn, what are some of the secrets from the playbook of someone who doesn't have challenges?
So my own self, or
you, and then both of you.
That's a hard question, but I will say, I was born in Venezuela, and then I moved to the United States when I was young. And from very young, my parents made it very clear that we're living in a place filled with so much opportunity, and things are amazing here. So I think I've always maintained a certain level of gratitude, so even if things are bad, I still can see the bigger picture and feel grateful for where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one. And do you have do you have a practice for that, or a tip for someone that might not know what that means or what to do? How does one get in touch with gratitude if they're feeling shitty,
For me, there's no specific practice, but whenever I'm feeling down, I just try to take, one step forward. So I don't think about, let's say, I'm feeling a little overweight. Instead of just getting overwhelmed and building this whole thing around that, I'll say, okay, what's one thing I could do today to get better? So I kind of take down this big feeling or this big challenge, and break it down into small pieces, and just try to take one step at a time. So if me and Kiyomi are, for example, just with our relationship, if we're not doing well, instead of trying to fix everything, it's like, what's one thing we could do right now to make it a little better?
Yeah.
You know, what's one step we could take?
Yeah, that's powerful, right? I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And growing up in Venezuela, is your family still there?
No, I have 2 cousins and an uncle, but everyone else has moved to the United States.
Okay. And what's your cultural heritage, Kiyomi?
I'm half Japanese. My
Okay.
mom's Japanese.
Do you guys consider yourself like a mixed race couple? Does that resonate for you or not?
It totally does. It definitely does.
That's funny. It doesn't at all for me.
But he doesn't. I mean, you look at him and he doesn't. Look. You're not like, oh wow, he's Venezuelan.
Right.
But I think, yeah, I guess we are, and we never really, thought about it. I think it's also because we grew up in Philadelphia, and there's a lot more diversity in Philadelphia.
Yeah, totally.
We're used to that, But in Boulder, it definitely stands out a little bit more.
I identify more as American than Venezuelan, just because I've spent more of my life here and built my relationships here and grew up here. So I guess I don't really think about it, but I guess we are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys so let's say you're a mixed race couple, because it seems like you are. Are there any challenges presented there that being a mixed race couple that are unique to being in your shoes that maybe a more, a white couple might not understand? Like, what do you guys think?
So the only challenges that we've ever really had regarding that is that I come from a very Japanese family where people are very quiet. You don't communicate how you feel. You kind of take it in. If you have strong emotions, you don't want to be a burden to another person. So your throat is just completely closed off.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about pleasing the other person. And it's not like this huge celebratory thing. It's a very calm kind of inner thing.
Yeah.
His family is completely opposite. So this has taught us a lot in our relationship. His family is like outgoing, incredibly
you greet
loving.
people by giving them a kiss on the cheek.
You say how you feel, and you don't care how you feel, and you don't care what you say in a lot of ways, which has taught me to have my own voice.
Yeah.
And so, did you not know that?
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So I think before our relationship, I didn't really have a voice. I really felt ashamed for everything I felt. And, the relationship anxiety or the ROCD really came about because I couldn't communicate. I didn't know how in a lot of ways. I couldn't say, hey, I'm having these obsessions. I'm having these thoughts. Is it okay? And he would say, hey, just be honest with me. Just be honest. I'm giving you the safe spot to be honest. And so his culture really kind of, or who he is as a person, because he will say what he feels, and he's outgoing in that way, which is an incredible thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like you pulled me out to become a more confident woman because of your culture, where vice versa, my culture, I think, has, I've been like, okay, if you're feeling something,
tone it down, man. No.
Yeah. Then I think it's a good idea for you not to really express that right now.
Interesting. So wait. Let's slow down there. Say that again. Like what I got was what he, being Venezuelan, has sort of taught you to kind of step into your voice more, right? What are you saying is the opposite, where maybe you've taught him something?
Yeah, there's a lot of times in the beginning of the relationship where he would say something and pull him aside and be like, hey, I don't think that was very appropriate. I know you're feeling that way right now, but do you recognize how they're feeling? You have to take another person's feelings into consideration. I mean, you are the loving, wonderful person ever, compassionately. But there are some things that you do say. I mean,
he's a little more blunt sometimes, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think, and just to put another sort of word to it, I think from her side, Japanese culture tends to be a much more sort of inwards, peaceful, calmer, not as sort of outgoing, in your face, celebratory. And so it's taught me to sort of be calm and also, take a step back sometimes, not have to be so loud all the time. So I think whereas I maybe brought Kiyomi's voice out, she sort of helped me stay calm with having my voice just not being out there.
Yeah. Like turning it down just a notch to be more appropriate in relationships with other people, sounds like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and you're saying, Joel, that's helped you. That's been a helpful course correction for you on your journey.
Oh my God. Like, I think Kiyomi has brought me more, I will say it's been very hard at times, to have to learn to be much more calm and just, taking a step back sometimes and, learning to relax a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been huge for me because then I can maintain some sanity.
Yeah.
I think just one thing that comes into my mind is there's been so many times I've been over his house for dinner, and if somebody wants to talk, it's whoever's the loudest, right? Whoever's the loudest is going to talk.
Yeah, it's like the Italian family or something.
Yeah, and then for mine, and I think that was such a shock for me. It's like everyone's like yelling almost in like a very passionate, wonderful way. But in the Japanese culture, it's like everyone like takes their turns. It's not really, especially as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as.
Jayson, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
So another thing in terms of the dynamic, our love languages. Coming from a Hispanic family, touch was always huge for me. Like. Mm-hmm. Just when you greet people, it's very close. You're always touching, hugging, kissing, and somehow that ended up being my number one love language. Whereas Japanese, like people don't even hold, couples don't even hold hands.
Right.
When walking on the street. I mean, in Japan, not.
Yeah, sure.
But so I think that was a challenge. At times.
Because are you saying initially she wasn't that physically affectionate?
Well, it's my last love language.
Oh, okay.
There's kind of, and I think it is to a certain degree cultural.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certainly conditioning, right? But then there's the cultural stuff and growing up in that culture. And yeah, I can appreciate that. It seems so, I'm getting, like, it's interesting you guys didn't really strike yourselves as like a mixed race couple, but as we get into it here, it sounds like there's actually some pretty significant implications here for being the mixed race couple that you are, in terms of how it's helped you, how it's challenged you.
Yeah, right? I guess we didn't really, recognize it too much as that we've kind of just been seen as Kiyomi and Joel, not necessarily, the cultural basis, but it makes complete sense as to how much our background has shaped us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Hey, quick interruption from our sponsor, The Relationship School. Do you know how to truly understand someone? Do you know how to advocate for your needs of feeling understood? Do you know how to deal with your family drama? Do you know how to be a champion for your partner and have them be a champion for you? Do you know how to have each other's backs in the times of stress in your life? Are you truly a team? Do you know what it takes to create a winning team? Well, that's what we're here to teach you in the 9-month training called The Deep Psychology of Intimate Relationships. It's an extremely powerful course that's changing people's lives right now as we speak. We're halfway through it. We're starting a new round in January, late January, and it goes through October. We'd love to see you there. If you are a warrior type person and you're willing to invest time, money, and energy into yourself to get a result, okay? This course will change your life. So go apply at relationshipschool.net/DPIR, and that will get you a conversation with me live, where we can talk about how serious you are and what you're going to do to make this happen. Or you can talk to our enrollment coordinator, Julie. Okay, we both would love to chat with you. Okay, back to the interview with Kiyomi and Joel. How do you guys work out conflict?
So I just want to say that this is kind of a little on the personal side of things. Joel's come from a very, I would say, very healthy family. His parents have always signified and shown abundance of love and have always, been there, have always been extremely supportive. They're just incredible parents. My parents, my dynamic, my father was an alcoholic. There was constant tension in a lot of ways. So I came into this relationship not really, as many people don't understand how to, do conflict or how to work through conflict. I really didn't understand at all in a lot of ways because I didn't have a role model to see how to work through things.
Yep.
He's taught me so much of, I think you really have seen so much of what your parents have shown you.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to being very open, when you're feeling something, not internalizing it, and letting it build up, saying it, even if it's uncomfortable. That's sort of one of our rules. Let's have the hard conversation. Sometimes we even joke, we're like angry at each other or like in the middle of like some tension. We're like, let's just get it over with and say it,
Yeah. Just get it out there.
Because it's like we know how we're feeling right now, and we know what the solution is, but we don't want to do it. So I think openness, honesty has been big.
I think it comes back to the whole personal thing that Jayson was asking you about, which is what do you do when you're stuck in a situation? You just make an action. And a lot of times what happens is if we're arguing, Joel will be the one that'll say, okay. Like, I don't want to argue right now. Let's take an action step. Let's do something now. What's one thing? Okay, maybe we just need to hug right now. You come here. I know you don't want to hug me, but come here right now. And then we hug. And then a lot of ways it's like, okay, what's one thing that we can do right now to make it better? What's one thing that we can do to make the situation better in a relationship?
Or like Kiyomi, a few weeks back, she was like, Kiyomi likes going out in nature a lot more, going hiking, and I like that stuff, but it's not like a passion of mine. Like I don't need to go out. I think I was feeling a little down that we don't go out as much. So I was like, okay, what is one, like, can we go on a hike this weekend? Just to start, instead of trying to fix this huge sort of dilemma, it's like, what can we do to start moving towards a solution?
That's one thing.
Right. And so instead of being kind of an ass and saying, I don't care about nature or hiking ever, and putting your foot down, I'm hearing that you are flexible and coming over to something that matters a lot to her and doing one thing, like let's go on a hike once a week or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't always, like, it wasn't always that way or that easy. Like, that's taken years to learn how to, like, what to say and how to approach the conflict in a way that you both want a solution.
Yeah.
Like, just looking back, like, when we were growing up, like, we used to want to fight, and we just wanted to keep fighting. And I think now it's like, after doing it so many times, it's like, we realize it's not worth it.
I think we've also grown up too. I mean, you compare us from like how we were when we were 17, of course, it's going to be so different.
Yeah. By the way, do you guys consider yourself millennials?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that term, how does that term sit with you?
Is that a bad thing, Jayson?
No. I mean, I'm a big fan of millennials personally.
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I don't have anything. Yeah. I think millennials are amazing people.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Like I have a lot to learn from millennials. So absolutely. All right. What, is there anything that, you got me here. Is there anything that you want feedback on or anything that I can be helpful with? It seems like you guys are in a pretty solid relationship right now from the way I'm listening. It seems like you have your style, you've got some history, you've got a lot of practice, and you've got some steps in place that work for both of you, which is outstanding.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Here's a question. I recently started a business a few months ago, went full time. I had been in the startup world for a few years, and I was fine. I had been wanting to start my own company for a while, and I finally took the leap. And right now I'm having to work a lot just because it's sort of the first few months getting that momentum. And then I think sometimes we struggle with, is my long-term vision aligned with Kiyomi's long-term vision? Because my long-term vision is I want to build this large company. I want to keep going. And, sometimes we haven't felt like the need to, solve the problem because it's not really a problem right now, but it's something that we think about. And sometimes we're not sure how to approach it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's something that you could give some insight on.
Yeah, let me make sure I understand first, and then I probably want to hear from you, Kiyomi, just before I respond. So you've started a company, so you're an entrepreneur, and you're working a lot, and you have big plans, big visions, and that may conflict with Kiyomi's visions. They're down the road, there may not be alignment, and that could create a problem.
Yeah, and that's created some sort of initial fear, but not enough to where we're like having to find a solution, but it's something that we're thinking about.
Yeah. I like that you're proactively thinking this way. It's awesome. Yeah. So Kiyomi, is this a concern you share in the same way, or how would you language it? Would it be a little different?
Yeah, I mean, I think that his priority is really, your high priority is working a lot, right? And you have such a vision for what you want to be doing. And sometimes that can be that can cause some conflict within us because I might want to connect, but he's working. Or just in the future, if he's working too much, how is that going to affect our relationship? If we really want to connect, but he's constantly maybe working harder than usual, is that going to kind of throw off, some things in our relationship? Because, sometimes we have it here and there where I'm just like, okay, you're working a lot. Like it's been like over 14 hours. You're still working. Like,
Come on, bro. I want to connect with you, honey.
to sleep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And great in the way where he recognizes my need for connection and will be like, okay, let's put time aside. But it's also a feeling of like, okay, putting time aside, but he's getting back to work again.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Kiyomi. Do you currently feel like a priority?
I really do feel like a huge priority in your life.
Thank God.
All right, that's the question. Okay,
Yes.
that's always going to be the question. In this dynamic where man is working a lot, woman is wanting connection, it doesn't matter who the gender is, but it's like one of you is working, the other one is wanting connection. Does the person that's wanting connection feel like a priority, like a very high priority?
I really, I really, really do.
Okay.
Honestly,
Do you feel that way?
do I always feel like I'm a priority? No, I don't always feel like I'm a priority.
Right. And do 80% of the time, do you feel like a high priority?
Yeah, like 75, 80.
75. Keep your eye on this, Joel. So this is the kind of litmus test of when you work to the point of she doesn't feel like a priority anymore, you're going to have problems.
Okay.
So as long it doesn't matter how much it is. You could work 17-hour days. If she still feels like a priority, not a problem.
Right.
So is that dependent on the person, I guess?
Yeah. It's dependent on the person and your strength, the strength of your connection. If she's getting her connection needs met, like at night, and you're able to really turn off, or in the middle of the day, or whenever you take your breaks, and you can unplug, and you're actually with her, and she feels you're with her, you're not staring at your phone, or you're racing off in your thoughts about, shit, did I close the sale, or did I do that deal, and you're actually there. She can feel that if she's present, and it's going to feel really good, and it's not that much of an issue. But if you're distractible and you're like present, you're like body's there, but you're not really there, she's going to not feel like a priority.
So it's not a matter of how much, it's more quality over quantity, and it also depends on the person.
That's right. You got it.
Yeah.
So this is something you want to check in though with. If that 75% starts to go down, because she has a threshold, right? Kiyomi, you've got a threshold where it's not cool anymore.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't feel good. And you're now feeling disconnected, and this guy's stressed out, and you're feeling he gets more irritable, and it's like, he's less approachable. And now I'm like, that's when you want to have conversations.
We're checking, which I feel, I mean, we've definitely had some situations where I'm like, okay, I know you're here, but you're not here. And we've had those conversations before of, okay, him being like, okay, what is it that I can do to help and everything like that. But I think the priority monitor within my body will kind of help in you getting the feedback from it too.
Yeah. I don't know if you experience this, Joel, but if you have kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, you could go all day, right? 7 days a week.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, totally. And it doesn't really, you're not really tired because you're loving what you're doing, right? You're in the hustle.
If I've got coffee.
Okay. Coffee's good. But for the most part, like an inspired entrepreneur is, it's pretty cool to be around that kind of energy, and I can relate. And a lot of entrepreneurs suck at relationships because they stop prioritizing the relationship, and the person they're with stops feeling considered. And then there's like not much room for an emotional connection. And then they have kids. Let's say you guys choose to have kids in a couple of years. Now Kiyomi's cool. She's getting her needs met with the kids. And so you're like, sweet, I'll just work harder. And now I've got this pressure because I got to make more money. And then you guys start drifting.
Yeah.
And you become more businessy transaction like with your relationship, and the emotional heart connection starts to fade. And this is where people get in really a lot of trouble.
I see.
So it's good we have this kind of like practice,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah,
prior.
because I'm here to tell you, because I'm an example, and it's challenging for me, of an inspired entrepreneur who can also maintain a heart connection with his wife. But my wife and my kids give me the feedback when I'm not, and it doesn't feel good to any of us. When I'm in go into hard mode or stress mode, it impacts my relationships, and then it impacts my relationship with my kids, and then everybody, no one in the family's feeling great.
And how do you pull away? How do you? I mean, what's your strategy, or what?
I delegate more effectively. I set better boundaries for myself on the job, and I behave in a way towards my family that, again, has them feel like a big priority. And because it feels so much better to me when they feel like a priority and we're connected than when we're all disconnected and Jayson's in stress mode. It's like that's motivation for me, right? To set those
Right.
boundaries and to course correct.
Yeah.
So use the feedback of her upset as incentive for you to set some boundaries for yourself.
Yeah. It sounds easier than it is. You know?
It is, but and this is Kiyomi. This is where you need to bring your voice and your truth to him. If it's not feeling good for a couple of days, you got to speak up and share the impact and let him know, hey, honey, it's not feeling good over here.
Yeah.
And don't criticize him working too much.
Okay.
Don't go there. That's not going to go well because he's loving what he's doing. Instead, talk about yourself and your own. I feel disconnected. I feel sad. I don't feel like a priority over here.
Okay.
That's going to get his right. That's going to get your attention, Joel, more than her criticizing you working too much.
Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely happened. And it just elevates the tension, you know?
Yeah. So is that helpful? Just feedback there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think, yeah, that's exactly, you know.
How much time do we have? I mean,
I'll take another question if you got it.
so we're getting married in September.
Nice.
What are some things for us to, I mean, I think just to give you some context, again, I think the cultural piece is going to come into play a lot there, just because Yomi and her family, you know, have a certain vision for the wedding. You know, me and my family, I mean, my parents have a complete different version or vision for the wedding. You know, Hispanic weddings, there will be people there that I've never even met.
Right.
You know, whereas Kiyomi, it's much more intimate. It's much more of a spiritual, smaller sort of celebration. Is there anything that we should maybe think about or discuss, or?
And you're talking wedding planning now, or are you talking prepping for dealing with your family, or what?
I'd say both. You know, just I don't know if that's too broad, but I think I'd say both. I mean, how do we sort of merge both of the visions, and then also like any other thoughts that you might have?
Well, I would get This is actually a really cool question, because a lot of couples go in and they don't ask anyone this question, and it comes down to August, and all of a sudden the mother-in-law or whoever is all of a sudden running the show, and she stepped into wedding planner, and both parties are like kind of resentful and like feeling there's a lot of tension, and it doesn't feel good. And then you come to the wedding thing, and maybe once the alcohol gets flowing, people feel okay, but leading up to it can be extremely stressful for a couple. So I would do a couple things. Number one, I would get really clear over the next few months on what you two want to do, what your dream ceremony looks like on your terms. First, without considering your family, like let's skip the families. Let's pretend they would just say yes to whatever we chose to do. Let's pretend that. What's our dream? How do we want to do it? How many people do we want there? And where do we want it to be? And how spiritual like do we want it to feel? And what kind of vibe do we want to create? And how many days do we want it to be in terms of celebratory and people staying over and renting places out? And then once you get clear on your vision, then you can start to be like, okay, now how can we include our families such that they feel considered and honored, but that we're in charge? Unless some cultures are like, they'll defer to the whoever's the most powerful matriarch or patriarch. They'll just defer and be like, hey, it's just our wedding. They're going to kind of throw the party for us. They're going to do everything, and we'll just show up. That's okay, as long as there's no resentments. You want to go into this resentment free, if possible. And that I'm just saying, if you guys can be really powerful and stand in your own truth around what you want, and then include and honor your families, and you're going to have to, in the including and honoring, you're also going to upset some people, and it's okay. It's okay to upset people.
Okay.
Because they're not going to get 100% of what they want.
Right.
If you're truly honoring what you want to do.
Okay.
Do you think, just a quick follow-up question, like, should you also sacrifice some of what you want? Or should it be completely what you want?
I'm not into sacrificing. I don't like that word, but I am into negotiating. So, yeah, I'm willing to negotiate. If my dream is up here, I'm willing to come down off of it a little bit, as long as it feels good over here. As long as I'm willing to do that. It's like you did with the example I think we talked about earlier. Can't remember what it was, but it'd be like you working a little bit less to maintain a heart connection. That's worth it. Right? So it depends for you. But absolutely, you want to be flexible and adaptable, but you don't want to move out of integrity into resentment.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, we will keep that in mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm psyched for you guys.
Thank you.
And I love the 10-year prep.
Yeah, right?
Seriously, I got to say, guys, nice job. 10 years of and you live together, right? You live together?
Yeah.
For how long have you lived together?
Like 4 years now?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm more traditional this way. Or maybe not. I don't know what people would call traditional these days, but in terms of move in together first.
Right.
Like deal with each other's laundry and shit and messy dishes first. And the bills first.
Yes.
So I like that you guys have been through that test.
And it's like, before we close, I want to just be honest. Like, we didn't always have these strategies. But I think we always had an open mind to wanting to find a solution.
That's all it takes. That's what's so cool about you two is I get that about you both is there's an open mind and a willingness to learn.
Yeah.
We both have this mindset of wanting to constantly grow and be best. I think that's what makes things a lot easier. I want to grow spiritually as a person. He does too. And if we don't grow, we're just going to stay in painful suffering. There's no point in that.
I see that every day. It's challenging to watch. So again, you guys are a good role model for a lot of us you're an example of a couple who's, because you're willing to learn and grow, you don't have a lot of big problems.
We really don't.
It's cool. And you can tackle life's challenges as a team.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've had some moments where it's like, how are we going to get through this one? But we
Tell
make
me
it.
about it. But again, because of that mindset, I think that it seems like that's making all the difference.
It really has.
For sure.
It really, really has.
Cool. Well, guys, I'm really psyched for you both. Congrats again. It's been really a treat to get to know you a little bit.
So much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Kiyomi and Joel. Pretty cool, right? It's nice to hear from a couple that is doing well. So thanks, guys, for your heart and sharing from inside your relationship house. Okay, the action step is taken from this episode where Joel said, I just try to do one thing. Bite off a big problem into smaller chunks and do one thing. Do one thing to improve your relationship today. What's that one thing you're going to do? Is it to appreciate your partner? Is it to identify the problem? Is it just to look them in the eye because it's been a while since you've done that? Is it to make a call to get some help from a relationship coach? What is that one step that you're going to do right now to improve and build upon your relationship? And it doesn't mean if you're doing great, you can still do one thing. What's one thing you can do to make it better, even better? What's that one thing? Okay. All right. So if they'll let us, we'll include their email in the show notes, and you can go there to find out, okay? If you want to reach out to them just to say thanks. And as always, leave your comments on social media, Instagram and Facebook in particular. What worked? What did you like? What was helpful about this podcast, okay? All right, now, not all of us learn on our own like Kiyomi and Joel. Some of us need psychotherapy. We need a coach. We're stuck in the weeds. We've been through many hurts and we don't know how to get over it and get through it. We keep doing our pattern that causes more suffering in our relationship. If that's you in any way, shape, or form, guys, you got to learn. I'm challenging you to learn how to do this in 2018 and come hang out with us at the Relationship School. Okay, relationshipschool.net/DPIR if you want to apply for our 9-month training. All right. I've heard from many people in this course how deeply it's impacting them in their life because they're doing the work. And what happens when you set your mind and your attention and your heart behind a goal like, I want to improve my relationship, I want to learn how to do conflict, man, things start to move to align with that, especially if you wake up every day with, okay, relationship, I've got to get this figured out. I want to do this. I want to invest time, money, and energy. All right. And you can join our free class that's still going on, relationshipschool.net/new year, if you want to get in on the free web series. Okay, guys, as always, leave us a review. You can help us too. If you haven't ever left us a review on iTunes, or you have the Smart Couple book and you're getting something out of it, one way you can just thank me is and acknowledge, hey, I'm getting some out of this. I appreciate all the free, largely free wisdom you have here and the free information. Leave us a review. It really helps. All right. You can go to iTunes for the podcast, Amazon for the book, and we love your support. So thanks a lot. Okay, everybody, have a beautiful holiday season and stay true to you. Stay true to you if you can do that. And we'll talk soon.